The spit hit Colonel Marcus Rivera's face at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. It slid down his weathered cheek like a tear he refused to shed. Warmonger! The college student screamed, her voice echoing across the university courtyard. Baby killer! How many innocent people died because of you? Marcus stood perfectly still. His dress uniform, the blue one with ribbons, most people couldn't name, hung loose on his 72-year-old frame. The bronze star caught the afternoon sun, mocked it back with defiant light. Look at him, another protester yelled, phone camera zooming in. Another old soldier trying to relive his glory days, probably never even saw combat. The crowd gathered. Students mostly, some faculty, all of them angry. All of them certain they knew who he was, what he represented. A tomato splattered against his chest. Then another, the red juice soaked into his ribbons. Stained 40 years of service. Marcus didn't flinch, didn't speak, didn't defend himself. The campus security guard, a kid who looked barely 19, approached with apologetic eyes. Sir, I think you should leave. For your own safety. Marcus nodded once, turned, walked away with the measured pace of a man who'd retreated from worse battles than this. Behind him, the crowd cheered like they'd won something important. They had no idea what they'd just done. They had no idea who they'd just destroyed. Asterisk, the year was 1983. Most Americans couldn't find Grenada on a map, couldn't spell it. Couldn't care less about a tiny Caribbean island with more goats than people. But Marcus Rivera cared. Because Marcus Rivera was there. Operation Urgent Fury, they called it. A surgical strike to rescue American medical students. In and out, clean and simple. Except wars are never clean. Never simple. Especially when everything goes wrong in the first 6 hours. The intelligence was bad. The maps were worse. And enemy Cuban and Grenadian forces weren't the disorganized militia they'd been told to expect. Marcus was a lieutenant colonel then. 43 years old. Commander of the 2nd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment. 800 men who trusted him to bring them home. The mission briefing lasted 20 minutes. The real war lasted 4 days. 4 days that would define the rest of his life. 4 days that nobody would remember. Because Grenada wasn't Vietnam. Wasn't World War II. Wasn't the kind of war that made heroes or history books. It was just a footnote. A paragraph in textbooks that most students skip. But footnotes bleed too. Asterisk. Dr. Sarah Chun had been planning this educational protest for weeks. Her political science 301 class, American Imperialism in the Modern Era, was studying military interventions. Grenada was perfect, small, forgotten, clearly imperialistic. When she heard that some old veteran was speaking at the ROTC ceremony, she saw an opportunity. A teaching moment. We need to confront the military-industrial complex. She told her students. Show them that their actions have consequences. That we won't let them whitewash history. She'd done her research. Or thought she had. Colonel Rivera, retired, served in Grenada. Typical warmonger trying to recruit kids into the killing machine. She didn't dig deeper. Didn't look at the classified files that wouldn't be declassified for another decade. Didn't know about the medical records sealed by military bureaucracy. Didn't know that sometimes the people you think you understand are carrying secrets that would break your heart. But Marcus knew she didn't know. Could see it in her righteous anger, her absolute certainty. He remembered feeling that certain once. Before he learned that the world was painted in shades of gray that had no names. Asterisk 3 hours after the protest, Marcus sat in his empty apartment. The uniform lay crumpled on his bed. Tomato stains like old blood. His phone rang. Unknown number. Colonel Rivera? The voice was young, female, nervous. Yes, this is Jessica Martinez. From the protest today. I'm Dr. Chun's teaching assistant. Marcus said nothing. Waited. I was doing research for the class about Grenada. And I found something about you, about what really happened. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Sir, I think we made a mistake. Marcus closed his eyes. What did you find? The medical records. From St. George's University. The medical students you saved. There's a list of names. And one of them ... Her voice broke. One of them was my father. The phone slipped from Marcus's hand. Clattered on the floor like dice-rolling snake eyes. Outside his window, a crow landed. On the fire escape. Looked at him with one black eye. Like it knew secrets too. Sir, are you there? Marcus picked up the phone. What's your father's name? Dr. Miguel Martinez. He was a first-year med student. He said soldiers saved them. But he never knew names. Never knew who. Marcus remembered Miguel. Scared kid hiding in a classroom closet. Shaking so hard his teeth chattered like typewriter keys. 20-4 years old. Same age as Marcus's son would have been. If Marcus's son had lived past Grenada. October 25th. 1983. 5:30 a.m. The helicopters came in low over Point Salines. Too low. The anti-aircraft fire was heavier than expected. Much heavier. Marcus's helicopter took 3 hits before they reached the landing zone. The pilot kid named Thompson from Ohio kept it steady until the skids touched ground. Then he slumped forward over the controls, blood everywhere. Medic. Marcus screamed, but the medic was already dead. Had been dead since the second hit. 800 men became 700. And 83 in the first hour. The medical school was supposed to be secure. Intelligence said the students were safe, protected by Geneva Convention. Medical facilities were off-limits. Intelligence was wrong again. The Cubans had fortified the school. Used it as a stronghold. 47 American medical students were trapped inside. Human shields in a building that had become a fortress. Marcus had 2 choices. Wait for backup that might not come, or go in with what he had. He went in. The assault lasted 6 hours, street by street, building by building, room by room. Marcus lost 37 men getting to that school, 37 soldiers who trusted him, who followed him into hell because he asked them to, but he got the students out. All 47 of them, including a scared kid named Miguel Martinez who kept asking if his girlfriend back home would be proud of him. Marcus told him she would be. Didn't mention that telling lies to scared kids was part of the job description. Didn't mention that some of those lies came true if you believed them hard enough. The official report was classified for 40 years. Too sensitive. Too embarrassing. Too real for public consumption. It didn't mention that Marcus carried wounded men for 3 miles through enemy territory. Didn't mention that he gave his own blood when the medical supplies ran out. Didn't mention that he held dying soldiers and told them their mothers would be proud. It mentioned the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Distinguished Service Cross. It didn't mention the cost. Marcus came home to a country that had already forgotten Grenada existed. To a wife who didn't recognize the man who'd left. To nightmares that had names and faces and last words. He stayed in the service because the service was all he had left. Kept quiet because talking about it wouldn't bring back the dead. Wouldn't heal the wounded. Wouldn't change anything that mattered. 20-7 years of silence. 27 years of carrying ghosts. Until a college professor decided he was the enemy. Until her students decided he was evil. Until the spit hit his face, and he realized that some wars never end. They just change battlefields. Jessica Martinez couldn't sleep. The image of Colonel Rivera standing there, taking their hatred without defending himself, played on repeat in her mind. She'd found her father's name in the medical records, found the date. October 25th, 1983. Found the notation. rescued by 2nd Battalion, 325th Air, under Command LT Col. M. Rivera. But she found something else too, a casualty report. Buried in military archives. Declassified just 3 months ago. 2nd Battalion sustained 37 KIA, 63 WIA during rescue operation. Battalion Commander, LT Col. Marcus Rivera wounded in action. Refused medical evacuation until all students secured. She dug deeper. Found newspaper articles from 1983. Small stories buried on page 6. Medical students rescued in Grenada operation. Local soldier saves lives. Found a photo. Black and white, grainy. A young Colonel Rivera carrying a wounded student. Blood on his uniform. Exhaustion in his eyes. The student in the photo was her father. At 2 a.m., she called Dr. Chun. "Professor, it's Jessica. We need to talk." "Do you know what time it is? We made a mistake, a big mistake." "About Colonel Rivera." The silence lasted forever. "What kind of mistake?" "The kind where we destroyed a hero." Dr. Sarah Chun stood in her office at 7 a.m., reading printouts Jessica had brought her. Medical records, military reports, testimonies from students who'd been saved. 47 testimonies. 47 people who owed their lives to the man she'd helped humiliate. Her hands shook as she read. Each page another nail in the coffin of her righteousness. Each document another proof that the world was more complicated than her lectures suggested. She found Miguel Martinez's address, called him. "Dr. Martinez, this is Dr. Chun from the university. I need to ask you about Grenada. About October 25th, 1983. Why? Because yesterday we attacked the man who saved your life. And I need to know how to make it right." Miguel was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. Marcus Rivera was the bravest man I ever met. He carried my roommate for 3 miles when the kid couldn't walk, gave his own water to wounded soldiers. I watched him cry over kids who didn't make it home. Why didn't he defend himself yesterday? Because that's who he is. He'd rather take the blame than cause more pain. He's been carrying the weight of that operation for 40 years. Every soldier who died, every student who was scared. He blames himself for all of it. Dr. Chun closed her eyes. "What can we do? Tell the truth. Finally tell the truth." Asterisk. The university auditorium was packed, standing room only. Word had spread through social media like wildfire. "The colonel we destroyed is actually a hero." Dr. Chun stood at the podium, her usual confidence replaced by humble shame. "Yesterday, we made a terrible mistake. We attacked a man based on assumptions, based on prejudice, based on ignorance." She clicked to the first slide. The photo of young Marcus Rivera carrying Miguel Martinez. This is Colonel Marcus Rivera, age 23, saving the life of medical student Miguel Martinez during Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada. The auditorium was silent, completely silent. Colonel Rivera's battalion rescued 47 American medical students. 37 soldiers died making that rescue possible. Colonel Rivera was wounded twice but refused evacuation until every student was safe. Click. Another slide. The casualty report. For 40 years, Colonel Rivera has carried the weight of those deaths. The weight of command. The weight of decisions no human being should have to make. Click. Modern photo. Marcus at the VA hospital, reading to wounded veterans. This is how he spends his retirement, caring for soldiers, visiting families of the fallen, helping young veterans adjust to civilian life. The room was crying now. Students who'd screamed at him yesterday were sobbing openly. And yesterday, we called him a baby killer. Dr. Chun's voice broke. Yesterday, we spit out a man who bled for strangers, who sacrificed everything for people he'd never met. She looked directly into the camera broadcasting the event. "Colonel Rivera, if you're watching this, we owe you more than an apology. We owe you our gratitude, our respect, our understanding that heroes don't always look like we expect them to. And to the families of the 37 soldiers who died in Grenada, we see you. We remember them. We honor their sacrifice." The standing ovation lasted 12 minutes, but Marcus Rivera wasn't watching. He was at Arlington National Cemetery, visiting Section 60. Where the Grenada casualties were buried, where he went every October 25th to tell them he was sorry. 1 month later, the university held a special ceremony. The auditorium was packed again, but this time the mood was different, reverent, respectful. Marcus Rivera walked to the podium slowly. He wore his dress uniform, the same one, clean now, ribboned straight and proud. The standing ovation started before he reached the microphone. It lasted 5 minutes. He waited patiently, like he'd waited for everything else in his life. When the applause died, he spoke quietly. 40 years ago, I led 800 soldiers into battle. 37 of them didn't come home. Their names are on a wall in Washington. Their faces are in my dreams." His voice was steady, strong, the voice of a man who'd finally found peace. People asked me if it was worth it. If saving 47 students was worth losing 37 soldiers. That's not my question to answer. That's for God and the families of the fallen. He paused. Looked directly at Jessica Martinez in the front row. But I can tell you this. Miguel Martinez became a doctor, saved thousands of lives, had children, who became teachers and nurses and soldiers. One of them is here today. Jessica was crying, proud crying. The kind that doesn't hurt. The ripples from one action, one decision spread further than we can see. The students we saved became doctors and teachers and parents. They saved lives, raised children, made the world better. Marcus smiled for the first time since anyone could remember. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of us can ask for. To know that our sacrifice mattered. That the people we saved made the saving worthwhile. He removed something from his pocket. A folded piece of paper, yellow with age. This is a letter from Miguel Martinez, written in 1984. He sent it to my wife after I deployed to Germany, after Grenada. Marcus opened the letter carefully. "Dear Mrs. Rivera, you will never meet me, but your husband saved my life. Not just from the enemy, but from despair. He showed me what courage looks like, what leadership means, what it costs to be a hero. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of his sacrifice." The auditorium was silent, except for the sound of tears hitting the floor like rain. I kept this letter for 40 years, through 3 deployments. Through my wife's death. Through nights when I wondered if any of it mattered. Marcus folded the letter, put it back in his pocket. Yesterday, I met Miguel's daughter. She apologized for something that wasn't her fault. But she also gave me something I'd been missing for 40 years. He looked out at the faces watching him, young faces, old faces, all of them listening. She gave me the understanding that heroes aren't perfect, that good people make mistakes, that forgiveness is stronger than hatred, that the truth is more important than being right. Marcus stepped back from the podium. The applause started again, but he raised his hand. "Don't applaud me, remember them. The 37 soldiers who died so others could live. Remember that freedom isn't free, that peace has a price, that someone somewhere is always paying it." He straightened his uniform, adjusted his ribbons. "And remember that the person you're angry at might be carrying burdens you can't imagine, fighting battles you can't see, deserving grace you're not ready to give." Marcus Rivera walked off the stage to thunderous applause. But more importantly, he walked into a future where his service was honored, where his sacrifice was remembered, where his story would be told to ensure it never happened again. The forgotten War was forgotten no more. The silent colonel had found his voice, and 47 lives he'd saved had finally saved him back. In the end, that's what heroes do. They save each other, even when it takes 40 years, even when the world forgets, even when they think they're not worth saving. Heroes save each other. Always. Epilogue. The Marcus Rivera Center for Veteran Affairs opened at the university 2 years later. It provides counseling, education, and support for veterans transitioning to civilian life. The center's motto, carved in stone above the entrance, reads, "Heroes save each other." Dr. Sarah Chun now teaches a course called The Complexity of Service, Understanding Military History Through Human Stories. It's the most popular class on campus. Jessica Martinez graduated with honors and commissioned as an officer in the Army Medical Corps. She specializes in PTSD treatment for combat veterans. Miguel Martinez attended every Veterans Day ceremony at the university until his death in 2019. He always brought a photo of himself with Colonel Rivera from 1983. Always told anyone who'd listen about the day a soldier saved his life. And Marcus Rivera? He lived to be 93. Died peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by soldiers he'd served with and students he'd inspired. At his funeral, 47 people showed up who owed him their lives. Thousands more showed up who owed him their freedom. The silent colonel was silent no more.